Hi everyone, welcome to Sports CTO Talks. In this series, we will be connecting with technology leaders in the sports industry. I'm Ami and your guide throughout this journey, where I'll be talking to various tech leaders who are shaping the futures in sport and technology. We will dive deep into the innovation driving this industry, like if it is AI to cloud, from cybersecurity to sustainability. If it is sports tech, we are talking about it. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us. He's Robert Pallas. He's a product and technology leader with 12 years of experience crafting innovative, market leading products. As an entrepreneur and a startup veteran, he has managed over 100 projects across various industries. It is really remarkable. He is a fractional CTO to two sports tech companies. One is Creathlon Club, and the second is Boomstats. Creathlon Club lets fans design custom merchandise for their favorite sports teams, earning royalties on both physical and digital sales. The brand unlocks new revenue streams while enhancing fan loyalty. While the other company, Boomstats, elevates sports teams with AI analytics. They are building computer vision models for tennis and football industry and growing towards a platform for shared data, sports data. We welcome you, Robert, to the podcast.
Hello, hello, Ami. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, Robert will share his experience in the field of sports and technology, and specifically, he will be talking about the future of sports, that is, blockchains, NFTs, and fan empowerment. Over to you,
Yes,
Robert.
yeah. Thanks for the introduction. You were correct in the detail. I am working as a CTO in two sports tech companies, and both of them tackle different types of markets. And one of them is for the fans and fan engagement. Triathlon Club is building digital and physical merch products, and Boomstats is more for the data analytics, stats, and coaching stuff to get better insights.
Okay, so let's begin. Like my first question to you is, how is blockchain technology being used in the sports industry today? And if you could share a few examples of what you have worked in the past or in present and how it is impacting the ticketing or the merchandise authentication.
Yeah, today blockchain is mostly used in fan engagement tools and creating community. This is one thing that Web3 blockchain tech is pretty strong at. It's creating a system of incentives, and through those incentives, bringing together different groups of people then who work for common goal or different goals, but supporting each other nevertheless. Some of the examples there would be where people hold team coins or team NFTs, and then they get real life benefits from holding these assets. And why we need blockchain there is that NFTs create the ability to really authenticate the ownership of digital assets. In physical world, if you hold your phone, you're like the owner of it. But in digital, you can easily copy files. But blockchain records those files and ownership of those files, so you can verify the ownership that someone actually does own a digital coin or digital item, an NFT, and you can then also drop stuff into their wallet, and this stuff could be benefits that they can use in real life. You mentioned ticketing. Ticketing is for sure something that will in entirety of world, not just sports, will use NFTs or a similar technology, because at the moment ticketing fraud is still quite widespread. If you buy a secondary market ticket, you do have to trust the person selling it to you, not to sell it to someone else. If only authentication of a ticket is its QR or barcode, and then anybody can share a copy and reprint it, right? So you do need this layer that would say that, okay, this is a digital item. It has proven scarcity. A ticket that has seating is one of one. A ticket who has standing seats, maybe it's one of 100. But you really do need to limit the usage. So once it's sent to someone, you can't send it to anybody else. So it's in someone else's wallet. I know that some of the ticketing companies already incorporate such tech, and I'm here in Estonia. Ours don't, so our Facebook marketplaces are full of fake secondary tickets. Always tricky to to take a leap and buy one of those. Um, for merchandise and merch creation, what we do in Triathlon Club, we actually allow fans to become creators. So anybody can design merch for their favorite team. And once this design is passing a review, so it's good to go, it goes up for sale, and people can buy both the physical jerseys that are designed by other fans, or they can then mint them and buy them as NFTs. And the ones who buy as NFTs, they become also the royalty holders, meaning that every sale that is going to be made in the future on that design, they get a cut on it. And the teams will share perks to this community who's holding those assets, because for a team, the benefit is the secondary loyalty and fan engagement outside of the games and outside of a stadium. So our play here is it's a new play, but we do believe that it creates a new dimension for the community. Like, hey, look at those new designs. I want to make some. I want to own some. I want to support the team. And at the other end, you get back experiences that sometimes money can't buy, like meeting the teams, VIP experiences, special merch. The ideas and possibilities there are pretty wide.
True, true, true. I agree. So, if you could share a little light on what are the role of these NFTs specifically into transforming fan engagement, and how can they create new opportunities basically for both the fans and the organizations or the companies.
Yeah. So an NFT holder, they might get a drop into their wallet that is a ticket or something that they can redeem to a game ticket. And they can use this NFT. They can also sell it. They can rent it. They can fractionalize it. They can create other types of products on it. You can combine NFTs. You can create baskets of NFTs. You can create funds of NFTs. There's so much that the digital innovation of blockchain world allows. And the teams, I believe they will get extra fan engagement out of it. So there will be new types of fans entering the market who maybe don't even follow the games as much. Maybe they don't even have a possibility to go to games, which would be an example for English football, for example, that has a lot of followers in all around the world. But a Japanese fan going to a game night on Tuesday in England, it's just not gonna happen in everyday life. They might do it once a year or once a lifetime, but they are a diehard fan of their team, so they would want to support their team otherwise, watching their streams, collecting their items. But you have a limit of collecting physical items. You need to store them somewhere, and collecting of digital items already has proven to be a niche market that grew up and grew wide as well. NFT in like as a technology, it's really strong. As a buzzword and boom, it's a little bit slowed down in the last year. So it wasn't as hot 2024 as it was a couple of years ago. But I really believe that NFTs are gonna make like a wider comeback, meaning that there will be more utility projects coming on that are not just for holding and trading, but like something that we're creating with Triathlon, for example, that there is a marketplaces, community, and utility within the projects.
Okay, so building on to this question only, so how can blockchains and NFTs give the fans specifically more control or the ownership, into the interaction with the sports teams and the events? How can that work?
Yeah, well, there is also several options that could happen. The NFT holders, they can vote on some things, like it could be something as simple as who is going to perform on the halftime. So maybe it's a voting between the fans to up to a point where we see in Triathlon Club, if we are successful, there will be teams who will adopt for their play kit one of the designs that is created by the community. And but it could go as far as community like pushing the team to make certain decisions. And with blockchain technology growing, there is already some teams who are playing around with it, but I think it will grow larger is the ownership of community-owned teams entirely, where they work as DAOs, distributed autonomous organizations, where the fans own the team, and they, based on their ownership, they can vote on some of the decisions. Whether it will be effective or not, whether it will be competitive or not, is a different set of questions. Like in general, I think coaches do know better than the crowd, but like having those experiments, I think it's good for sports, good for tech, good for sports tech.
Okay. So like, when you're talking about coaches and, about like, let me add on to academies and people on ground. So I just want to understand like are there any barriers, when it comes to adopting blockchain and NFTs into the sports
For
organizations?
so fan enhancement and fan engagement improvements is one side through digital assets and digital asset scarcity, but the other side is for sure data, like sharing data. mm, you can do zero knowledge proofs, which is something which is a technology that kind of shares data existence without revealing the data. And I'll give you an example. It could say that person passed the doping test without
Mm.
revealing their blood work details. Or it can reveal their eligibility to play for a certain team, whether it's nationality or age, without revealing exactly the details of the player, like where were they born and when were they born. And you can combine them, so you can gather a full team of players and then give a proof that yes, all those people can play in this tournament. They don't have any conflicting interests. Maybe they haven't played in other leagues where playing in this sport would not allow them to participate. For example, someone has played in the first division and then they're not eligible to play in the youth tournament anymore. So that is definitely one example that we can do in scouting to prove that the player was injury free for the last 12 months
Okay.
without again revealing the medical data or all of the medical data. And then the ownership of the data that is generated through the actions of players. That's a very interesting area as well. Like who owns the athlete data? It's at the moment very vague area and very vague question because we haven't had really the technology to make a more complex situation that is now possible via blockchains. I think in the future, player data is owned by the players, the teams, the leagues, and the fans. And when this data is being used, the monetization is distributed by everybody. So there is people who are going to invest in players, who are going to invest in the data, and they get a cut when someone is going to use this data, either for then building up prediction models, betting apps, video streaming, showing stuff in media, or using it in research and analysis. So there's a lot of different angles where that might go, but it starts with ownership and digital scarcity and NFTs.
True, true, true. Like a lot is happening actually at present. So like there is another question. Like how do you see blockchain specifically enabling fans to influence, team decisions or participate more actively into their favorite sports franchises? How can that be done?
One example is they can come and create merch with us at Triathlon Club. So designing for their team. Then there is teams that we do allow and more teams that will allow voting of sorts. Owning the team coins, owning the team digital assets. Those are all good ways to jump in and try out new tech. Yeah.
Okay. So like from jumping from blockchain and NFTs to AI, because AI is hot and there are questions always related to that. So you also have worked with AI. So how is AI affecting the sports data and the analytics world at present?
Yeah, so I work as a CTO in an Australian sports tech company called Boomstats. What we do there is we use computer vision models to analyze sports data, and we take video feeds. And for tennis, for example, we look at shot sequencing, meaning that we don't only look at players' body position when they are taking certain shots, telling that, yeah, their backhand technique or forehand technique should require improvement. But we're looking at more complex things down the line, like if they took a backhand and then transitioned into forehand, then many a time they made a mistake, meaning that there is a problem in their movement patterns. And this is something that human eye is very difficult to even see and take into account, because if you look at the video, you have to go constantly back and forth. Every time you see a mistake, you have to go back and see what was the previous shot pattern like. Well, we just use AI and we pinpoint, we give the coaches exactly those videos that they need to look at. That, hey, we think that here is a problem. Can you now check it out? And of course, the other side is stats, like how many backhands, how many forehands, so what's the percentage of cross court, what is the percentage of down the line shots, how often was the player in attacking, neutral, or defensive position in tennis. So we take all of that information out from video feeds. Tennis is our like first sport. It's good to get started because there's a net between the players, and the players don't really collide. Uh, our next target though is football, where you have more players on the field at the time, and we're gonna do a lot of different statistics. Right now we have a tool where we tag all the events manually and then clip videos and highlight reels for a specific player. But obviously, this is another thing that will go to computer vision algorithms.
Absolutely, yeah. So, like, is it possible for, like in future of sports, like there is combination of AI and blockchain, and how can it work if you could just explain us that?
Sure. Well, in Boomstats, we do see that the data that comes out, it's going to be usable for different use cases. One that we start with is coaches creating information from data, because data and information are not the same thing. The data is something raw that you do have to first manipulate and make readable, and then information is what you read out of from that data sets. Um, so coaches get insights into their teams, players, and creating all these really small edges in decisions and training methodologies and categories. But how do you do that? Is you combine different data sources, and you use different models, machine learning models, to analyze, make predictions and such. So we really see a world where this data is collected and given open access to different players. And one side is the coaches that I mentioned already, but then there is betting houses, prediction markets, where a lot of it's not a hidden information. A lot of the money that sports gets from sponsorship is coming from the gambling industry, and the gambling industry makes their money from people betting. So that's the huge driver of the revenues in the industry, and they are very data hungry part of the game. So they are very interested in all those even 0.1% gains of edges on having better information than the competitors and the other bettors. So that's one side. But then there is also research. Then there is fans getting more access to data. So while future generations are watching games, they're not just watching static video feed with a commentary, but they can choose their own stats in their. Let's imagine that they're watching it with their headset in 3D, like as if they were on a stadium, and then they can pick and choose which stats for what player they want to see at the time. Like how fast is the player moving, how many passes have they had, uh, who has the better efficiency rating, all these kinds of stats available in real time. That's future of sports because the younger generations will be more tech driven, more tech savvy. They want to consume things slightly differently, and we want them to do still sports. So we want them to stay engaged, but we need to allow them to stay engaged within the tool set that they are comfortable with in the tech level that they expect to receive. So these are the things where AI and blockchain kind of come together. I see a vision where we're building an AI model marketplace where different teams can come in, create different models, and sell them or rent them out to other parties. And then we bring in the data from different sources. So in some teams, they use computer vision to make stats from video feeds. Other teams, they have wearables. You have these smart rings, you have sports watches, you have insoles that are tracking players jumping, hitting the ball, the forces that apply to their feet, or in rugby or American football, collisions, power of collisions and strength of the movement. So all these things coming together. So there will be a huge amount of data. So who owns the data and who gets monetized and how it's going to be used in the open market by machines and by humans. So that's where blockchain and AI, I think, will come together. Uh, since there in that data, there is also a layer of is that data authentic, meaning that did it really come from true sources? So going back to these proofs and revealing some parts of data, being able to track that that data was actually generated on the day hour of the match, and that you can verify and go back in the route to see, yeah, that player in that game really did have this amount of passes, and that's the percentage of success and failure.
Okay, it's very interesting and insightful. So, a continuing question in this only. So, how is blockchain and NFTs trickling down to countries other than US, UK, Australia? How is it trickling down? Is it penetrating into other countries or not, or is it slow?
I think this is a deck that can be adopted worldwide, really, because one thing that both AI and Web3 tech does is it levels the playing field quite a bit. Because previously, if you think about like match stats and analysis, to analyze a game, you would require an analyst to basically count everything and give the stats to the coach, and then you have a coaching team who creates those insights. That's not available to all teams. But if you do the same thing with AI, um, even if currently it's not 100% as good, in the future it will be 110, 120% as good as the best human, because AI models will be learning from the best humans and from other models, so improvement over time. But will now be available with a fraction of the cost, meaning that any team in the world can adopt it down to grassroots level. So youth games, for example, anywhere in Asia, in Africa, if the cost level goes further down, then I don't see I see this as a leveling of playing field tech rather than being only available for the elites.
Okay. So last, question, like you being an expert in the field, if you could give us two, three tips, to the audience, what works and what does not work, just a quick two, three tips.
Yeah, so one is that don't be afraid of AI. It might sound something complicated, and I get a couple of questions. Is AI gonna take our jobs? AI training and AI model creation and usage the complexity levels are coming down quite fast and quite significantly. So I encourage people to experiment and try out. Even I'm talking about computer vision models, even those can be manipulated and trained these days without having a PhD in data science. Uh, the other one, let's jump to blockchain, other side of the coin, is play around, experiment, try out the sports chains, try out the offerings that are built on chain. Some of them are raw still at the moment, but they're getting better. The blockchain user experience is getting better overall. So definitely like having this wider sight of what's coming. Because I tell you what, Tommy, the blockchain world is really experimenting left, right, center, and many of those things are going to stick, but not all of them. So it's gonna be really hard to predict where the Web3 blockchain market is going to go in sports. I'm pretty confident that data will be one side and fan engagement will be other, but how exactly it will shape up is anybody's guess. In computer vision models and data, it's I think there is more clear of what the path is going to be. But then third thing is that those two will come together to data monetization, data sharing, and AI models and the marketplaces. Uh, and what else for the tips? Stay active, guys. So, I mean, even with all this technology available, there is still nothing better than playing raw sports. You choose your sport, it doesn't matter if you're into football or basketball, if you don't like team sports, if you can, you go run, if you can't, you go walk or hiking if it's available in your area. If you want to do something more calm, participate in yoga. Swimming is a good one because it's very it's not taxing for the joints and for the body. For some people who are afraid of the water or who haven't done swimming in their youth, the challenge is massive to even get in the pool. But I especially encourage those people because for you to climb over that challenge, it will make you invincible in other areas of life.
Agree with you on so many fronts, Robert. All right. Thank you so much for joining and sharing insights today. It means a lot to us and the audience. So let's stay connected, everyone, for more understanding on sports technology in the future. Like, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and you will never miss an episode. Stay inspired, stay curious, and keep exploring.